Hi everyone. So I wanted to do a video about how to prepare dahlia tubers. Now, everyone thinks at this time of year, gardening, there's not many jobs to do. But actually, this is a really busy time for me because I have to sort these things out and I've got loads of bulbs to plant. I'm down to like 2 boxes now, some here from ones I kind of dug up in early summerish time and have all dried off, so I need to sort through them as well. But yeah, dahlias. A lot of the times when you buy them from, say, B&Q or something, it'll say on the label that they're annual, i.e. they will just die in that year, but actually that's not true. They are perennial, so they will keep coming back, but they are not hardy. They need to be dug up and stored, unless you live in a place where, I don't know, you've got a microclimate or you live down south and you don't get that bad weather. It's not just the cold, it's more the wet. They will rot. That is what will happen to them. So all of the energy for dahlias is stored in the tubers, which is these here. These fibrous roots are nothing. They will die off. You don't need them. Now, a lot of people will wash the tubers. For me, I don't do that. I think you're just adding moisture back into there, where grey mould is then going to use that to its advantage. So what I will do, I will dig them up. I just leave them. I'll get a bit of the soil off as much as possible. An old screwdriver is really good to get in there and get as much out as possible. Worms and centipedes really like to go in there, so making sure they get out as well, because they will just stay there and they will dry out and die basically. And then I just leave them about on the shed floor basically. I don't put them in a clump touching, because they will take longer to dry out, and if one gets mouldy, the other one will also get mouldy. And once they've dried out, sort of like this one, again you can see that there's still soil in here. It's not major that it's in there, but it's holding moisture, which again can make them easier to rot. So I get that out. Again, I use a screwdriver. Another really great, these are all things which you wouldn't really associate with gardening, but they work. A paintbrush, to get in there and get all of that out. Making sure that you keep a bit of stem on. Don't cut it down to here. A bit like a pumpkin, don't do that, because if that decides to rot, you've lost the whole thing. Whereas if it rots up here, I've had this happen over winter. I've checked them, it's rotted there, I've cut it, rotted again, I've cut it there, and by the time it gets to springtime and I'm planting them out, I've still got a bit left, if that is the case. Whereas this one shouldn't go like that, because that's pretty dried out now. So it's ideal to do that. If you are digging a dahlia up and it breaks, so it splits, bigger plants that are more aged can do that. If you've just got one of these tubers that come off and you think, oh, I'll store that, unless that has a bit of, basically we call it an eye on there, which is a little bud, you sort of get to know what it looks like as you grow more dahlias. It's basically the bottom of where the stem is, where it'll join the tuber, that bit there. If that doesn't have that on, it's not going to do anything. It won't grow a sprout. It can root, I've seen them root before, but there's nowhere for that sprout to come out of. So that's another point. The best tip I would give, when you buy dahlia tubers, they always come with these roots on. But if you're digging them up in your garden, I would personally take them off. And you can argue you're creating wounds, which stuff can get in, but in my opinion it's better to take them off, because if anything, grey mould is going to grow on these fibrous roots, because that's the dead material. So I cut them off. I don't cut into the tuber, I will just cut about here and just leave about 1/2 centimetre from the tuber and get rid of that. And then what I do is I'll wrap them up in newspaper I'll wrap them up once, tie at the top, and then wrap again. I will then put them in a cardboard box and then put newspaper on the top, and then those boxes get put in a big box. To be honest, with the temperatures in the shed, with the fish tanks, it's warmer in here than it was last year, so theoretically I might even get away with not having to put them in boxes and stuff like that. But if we were to get a -6, which we do get here, even in the shed, it might be a bit risky, so it's always best to not take chances and just put them in a box, basically. And a key thing is to keep checking them, say like once a month maybe, or if you've got time to do it more often than that, and just seeing if any of these are starting to rot, go mouldy. If you pick it up and it's covered in fuzz, get rid of it. You're not going to save that, you're not. If it's just one tuber, cut it out. If you can see a bit of grey mould, white mould on another tuber, just dust it off and you might be alright. Again, if it's on the stalk, cut it back down. Another thing which can happen, it's unlikely, when you're digging them up, if say you don't have time to dry them out properly and you just want to put them in a box, one thing that really like to hide in these is slugs. And if you entrap that slug in a box with a dahlia which is not fully dried out, it's going to stay alive in there. And you'll get to spring, you'll open your box, and you'll have a dahlia which is all full of holes and will have rotted, basically. So checking for slugs is key. I've brought these in and there's been a slug on here, I can see the slug slime, but I would be checking. You're not going to have a slug on here anyway, it's bone dry, but still be checking to make sure. And that's about it really. Mice will have a go at these as well. So if you have a shed with mice in, my old shed had mice in, and if you don't box these up, to be honest, even boxes, I've known them eat through silicone before, so they'll eat through anything. So if you've got mice, maybe take some extra precautions to try and stop them getting in, because at this time of year they will have a go at anything. So that's my little tips video on dahlias and storing them. I have done a bit of an experiment this year with some dahlias, the big dahlias which grow like sort of 4 foot-ish. I have left them outside. Now, if it was just in normal soil, I wouldn't be doing that because I would lose them, for the sheer fact of how much wet weather we get, and our soil is very clay rich, so it just holds water, it's soaking. However, where I've got these dahlias, they are in the corner of a fence, so they're a bit protected. It is a microclimate there as well, and it's covered in about that much of gravel, so I'm hoping it might keep the frost off. The wet is probably going to maybe still be an issue though, but it's an experiment. If 1 or 2 come up, then we'll see, because to dig them up again was going to be a nightmare, it was. So we shall see what happens come spring, if they come up or not. With your dahlias, again, it depends on whereabouts you live in the country and what the spring looks like. The dahlias will give you a sign themselves when you check them around Aprilish time, maybe March. You will see those buds starting to swell. They won't they do need moisture basically, especially when they've been in a box for months. They will have dried out, the tubers will have dried out a bit. They really do need that moisture to kind of get them going. But that would be another video for spring of how you would deal with sort of the after dormant period for the dahlias. That would be a different video. So there we go.